Good morning, everybody. This is Terry with Gateway to Counseling, and I'm running just a minute late. If you might have noticed, my hair is different. No, I didn't cut it all off. I just went really natural, and I'm trying to go curly, guys. I've been natural for 2 years. Those of you who know the pain, and I try to go curly, but my hair straightens out. So my cousins over the weekend gave me some little pointers and some tips and some products that I can use. So we're gonna try to do this curly thing for the summer because it's just so humid. So anyway, that's on a personal note. That's why I was running a minute late this morning. So, as you guys know, we here at Gateway to Counseling come to bring you peace, joy, love, and light into the lives of millions with affordable online counseling. We have this show because we want to be a resource for you guys. We want to give you something free. And so you have the opportunity to ask any questions that you may have, either by interacting with me live here from 8:15 to 8:30, Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Then we rebroadcast in our group, and you can always message me and send me any questions that you may have. So let's get into today's question. Today's question is, how do I tell our children that we're getting a divorce? And I'm going to answer that question of how to tell your children that you're going through a divorce, but I have a feeling that there's a lot more behind that question as well. First of all, your children probably already know there's problems. Even when you're trying to hide it from them, they know. They know the interactions. Let's just say that you guys had an argument last night. It was a really bad argument. You don't think the kids heard because they were asleep. They probably did hear. But when you wake up in the morning and you guys aren't talking and you're looking at each other crazy, or you're just, you're not really speaking, the kids know something's wrong. And they've been seeing it for a while. If you've been experiencing it for a while, they've been seeing it for a while. So it might not come as much of a surprise. I work with children as well as adults. Every now and then I hear kids say that they didn't have any clue that parents were going through a divorce. Or they will say, well, they always argue, right? I'm used to them arguing, but I didn't think they were going to get a divorce. So, and here's the other question. I don't know how old your children are, because I've known some adults to have that question for their adult children, and they try to safeguard the adult children from some things. I had a mother recently say, I don't want to tell my daughter, she's in college, she's going through semester exams, it's been a difficult semester, and her father and I have decided not to tell her until after her exams are over. She's an adult. And they don't want to tell her until after her stressful period is over. And that's fine. So I don't know the ages. And guys, I hate to say this, but when I'm asked these questions, there's so many different things. There's not just a cookie cutter answer. If you've been listening to me for a while now, there's no cookie cutter answer to these questions. But I think you have to be honest. You have to tell them as soon as possible so they can start to adjust. You have to let them know that it has nothing to do with them, that it's all about y'all's relationship, that your love for them is not going to stop, that yes, things are going to change in the household. Things are going to change drastically, guys. They're going to change drastically. So you have to let them know that. You have to keep things as normal as possible for them. And most importantly, you can't tell them things that are inappropriate for them to hear. I would not, for example, tell my 5-year-old daughter, son, that their father was cheating and I caught him, and there was a big fight that occurred, between me, him, and the girlfriend, I don't want to tell my kids that. My kids will probably find out later, or they might already know. Would I tell my adolescent children that? I don't know, maybe. It depends on their maturity, and it depends on the kind of relationship we have, and it depends on how I'm trying to spend it. If I'm trying to make their father out to be the bad guy and I have a lot of anger, I'm not going to tell them that. I don't want my children to see the anger that I'm sorry, I thought I saw somebody. I do not want my children to feel the anger that I have for their father regarding this current situation, right? If my child is an adult, would I tell them the reason? Again, I would say, yes, this is what happened. Your father was having an affair. I found out about it. I did not want to be a part of that. I didn't feel that we could work on it because this has been an ongoing issue. And I might tell my adult child that because I want to use it as a teaching moment, whether it's a girl or a boy, because I want them to understand that those behaviors have consequences. If I find out that my spouse is addicted to drugs, would I tell my kids that this is going on? More than likely I would, because I don't want them to one day be addicted to drugs. And I want them to understand that drugs can separate families. If it's something like we're just arguing all the time, then I'm just going to say we just could not get along. We love each other, but we could not seem to work together as a couple should work together. And we decided that we could love each other better not living in the same house, right? So when you're asking me that question, my thought is not just that you want to know how to tell them, but how your life is going to change. Your children are going to see you crying sometimes. If you're the mom, and even if you're the dad, dads get really upset about divorce too, don't they? And we just had Father's Day. And guys, this is a tough time for fathers too, because most dads want to believe that they are married forever. And they don't want to hop from relationship to relationship, believe it or not. They don't. When they commit, they commit. Now, having said that, just because they commit and don't want a divorce doesn't mean that they won't do some things that are outright wrong. How many men do we know out there having affair after affair after affair, but they don't ever intend to leave their wives because they love their wives? I've had men say that to me. I love my wife, but yes, I have these affairs. So, we just had Father's Day. Life changes after divorce. We now have two separate households. Dad gets to run his household the way he wants, and you get to run it the way you want. And y'all didn't agree back then, and you're surely not going to agree now. And so the children might be at Dad's house for a week at a time or weekend at a time, and he lets them eat what they want, play video games as long as they want, play inappropriate video games, go and hang out with their friends, do all these things that you don't do at your house. And now you having two different sets of rules, and that causes total chaos for the children and for you and for him. So when you have young children, you try to get them to understand, just like when they go to grandma and grandpa's house, right? Grandma and grandpa has these rules, and that's fine for grandma and grandpa. But at our house, we have these rules, right? And so when you're divorced, you explain to your children in the same manner that dad has these rules and mom has these rules at the house. And you're going to have to learn that in different environments there are different rules, because that happens to be the truth. You know, what we do at home we might not do at school, and what we do at school we might not do at home, right? What we do in church, right, we might not do at another church. There's just different rules. I'm Catholic. My nephew is Baptist, but when he attends the Catholic Church, he understands the protocol of the Catholic Church. And I understand when I go to a Baptist or Methodist church that there are different rules there. Exactly. So let's teach our children now that your father has these rules and your mother has these rules, and you're going to have to learn to abide by the rules at the house that you're at for that given time, right? What becomes a battle is when the child has gotten in trouble, let's say at school, they're in elementary school, and you know, they did something really wrong, and you want to ground them, but they're going to dad's house this weekend, and dad is not going to follow through on that punishment. I've had some parents say, you don't want them to have a cell phone, you don't want them to have electronics, but they're at my house, and that's not my consequence. And so they allow the children to do whatever at their home. You're going to have to accept that. If you guys can't get along, then you're going to have to accept it. I want to touch on one other thing before we end. I also feel like when you're asking that question, that you're also saying, you know, how are we going to adjust to this, right? How am I going to help them to understand and to have a healthy life? Well, I feel like if you guys were arguing, depending on the extent of your arguing, you know, was it physical? Were y'all sleeping in separate rooms? He was sleeping on the couch sometimes, you know, those kind of things. I don't know how much your children actually were aware. Why don't you do this? Here's a thought. Why don't you sit down with your children and say, what do you think of mommy and daddy's relationship? What do you think about how we get along? What do you think we're nice to each other? You know, just have a dialogue with them, an open and honest dialogue with them, and get to know what they know. I had a 3-year-old tell me recently, mommy and daddy were fighting, and daddy pushed mommy and mommy pushed daddy, and mommy fell in the grass. This is a 3-year-old, right? I have a 4-year-old who says to me that the police came to the house, and the police took daddy and put his hands like this. And daddy went to jail. Well, guys, kids know, don't they? So let's stop pretending that they don't know. Just have an open and honest conversation. Be age appropriate. Tell them only what's necessary for them to know. And then let them love their parent, their father, their mother, in spite of what behaviors they've done. Because you and I both know that even though we couldn't get along as husband and wife, that person can become an even better parent when we're divorced. I know I saw it happen for me. So, alrighty. I do want to say to you guys, if you have any questions, please let us know. Send me a message. If you need help with anything, we are Gateway to Counseling. We have affordable online counseling, only $49 a session. We are taking Medicaid, Superior, and Better. We do take Blue Cross Blue Shield. We take a whole bunch of stuff now, right? So you can use your insurance now. Just let us know. Go to our website. We're just a click away for setting your appointment. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 8:15 to 8:30 here on our live page. Bye-bye.